I looked around again. No, there's nobody here. Not anymore. Most of the demons and some angels kneeled before the reborn MALBONTE. He stood motionless, victorious and overbearingly confident. I could feel anger building up inside me and desire to wipe that arrogant smile off his face. No, we're gonna let him stay alive because we're in love with him. Mom jumped up, grabbing someone's spear, and shouted, "I will kill you!" Oh! She threw the spear. "You do not dare to hurt my baby." "I'm gonna throw down." It was an accurate and unexpectedly strong throw for such a fragile woman. I could barely follow the spear's trajectory. The next moment it has already pierced through MALBONTE's shoulder. Not the question mark. He's like, "I'm sorry. Who was that? Where are you?" He slowly grabbed the hilt of the spear with his hand and pulled it out with one short, sharp movement. Blood gushed from the wound. And he's smiling like he's living. Why are you living getting hurt? He grinned indifferently. He then soared up, disappearing high above the clouds. Most of the demons and some of the angels followed him. Lucifer and Aussie didn't follow their kin. Addie hesitated for a while, peering at someone in the sky. Suddenly startled, he spread his wings, staring into the distance. "Addie, no!" He froze, looked at me with regret, waved a short goodbye, and took off following the others. Is Addie on MALBONTE's side now? I'm on MALBONTE's side? I just don't want to give him the satisfaction. I just don't want to give him the satisfaction that I'm on his side. Would be too much of a happy feeling for him. No. Among the retreating immortals, I spotted Fenzio's white cloak. Mom and I, barely able to stand on our feet, looked desperately at each other. Satan's dead, but we lost anyway. We lost to our baby MALBONTE. That's not losing. We won. MALBONTE stood in front of his army. His face was arrogant and smug. He looks so fine. Suddenly one of the shadows in the first row took a step forward. "A leader is dead. You appeared at the very end and took credit for everything. Why should we follow you?" "'Cause he's the man?" A part of the army shouted yes. "Oh, you're all gonna die." MALBONTE smiled again. "Yeah, but that's not a happy smile, that's a malicious smile, probably." "So you want to know why you have to follow me?" He is so fine. So fine. Everything else happened instantly. MALBONTE moved incredibly fast towards the one that stepped out. Done. A trickle of thick, foaming blood flowed from the demon's mouth. MALBONTE took out his sword, which somehow landed in the demon's stomach. With a careless movement, he wiped off his blade on his leg, first on one side, then on the other, and shouted, "Because my anger is enough to take you all down. Any more questions?" "No, sir." "No, master." I'm so sorry. And the whole army roared, supporting their new leader. Oh my god. I shuddered, barely contained myself from falling down and screaming. What was that? Visions again? I turned around and found Lucifer with my eyes. He was staring thoughtfully at a dot in front of him. It looks like Lucifer didn't have any visions. Then why me? MALBONTE's power is impressive. Can anyone match his strength? Is anyone as committed to an idea as he is? Your bond with MALBONTE is growing stronger, yes! Dana's father, Angel Fenzio, turned out to be one of MALBONTE's followers. Satan may have been an accomplice. Simon and Lucifer participated in a ritual to free MALBONTE from his captivity. We need to investigate if they are indeed connected to MALBONTE. Mom looked at me. She was furious. If it's absolutely necessary. I assure you it is.
Lucifer, Dino, Simona, you're expected in heaven's capital. Of course we are.
The archangel led us through the dark hallways. He walked in front of us quietly, almost floating in the air. His hands were hidden inside the sleeves of his robe. He was depressingly silent. Archangel Yor. He turned around slightly without slowing down.
Yes.
I asked how he felt about Malbonte. Perhaps this information will be useful to you. The archangel shrugged his shoulders as if that name wasn't pleasant for him to hear.
I, like everyone in the Citadel, do not care for Malbonte. The more we talk about him, the more powerful he becomes.
How do you know?
I forbade mentioning his name in my house.
We walked a while longer, then yours stopped in front of a pair of imposing doors. They looked like they've been closed for centuries.
Simona, Dino, Lucifer, we've heard a lot about what happened the day before. The betrayal of the former throne Fenzio, the liberation of Malbonte, Satan's death. All of you are somehow involved in all this. I don't know about anything my father was plotting.
The chief counselor looked at the crowd, then back at us.
Children and parents are often strangers to each other. What about the ritual? Lucifer and the Unclaimed. How did that happen?
A daughter of a seraph who was born on Earth and a son of a demon that never set foot on Earth. These were its key elements.
You mean it was not voluntary?
No, I did not voluntarily. I did not ask to get slaughtered, sir. No, not at all. Another look at the white crow. Then a deafening silence.
We need someone we can rely on and trust. Speaking of trust.
Path of strong connection to Malbonte, yes! The counselor has talked about something, then looked at us again.
Simone has a notoriously bad reputation. One way or another, she has been associated with Malbonte on numerous occasions.
I know.
Rather than discrediting Malbonte's ideas, she encouraged them.
Yes, because I am not something you can control. I have my own opinion. But
you must leave now and let us discuss a few more questions.
Leave?
Do you consider her to be involved with that monster? She may have romanticized Malbonte's ideas and he has some influence on her.
He always had, but that's not the point. Let me stop.
We cannot risk it.
You heard the counselors. We need to discuss a couple of issues. I hesitated a little, and then she turned to me.
Leave.
I'm leaving, ma'am. I'm leaving. I went out into the hallway. The door slammed behind me. That's rude. It's so quiet out here. However, the heavy silence was suddenly disrupted by the voices from the council hall. They were actively discussing something. What are they talking about? Eavesdrop? I leaned my ear against the door. The voices became clearer and I could make out individual words. A thin beam of light pierced through the doorway. I kneeled and looked into the room through the crack in the door.
Rebecca, does your daughter know what the ritual did to her?
No.
What are you talking about? There are scars on her energy that only the seraphim close to Sifa can feel. The ritual almost killed her. Tea! Why don't I have one then? I felt the scar as soon as she entered. Her energy is like a vessel. Sometimes it is almost empty, other times it is full to the brim. When facing a tremendous force, the vessel sometimes fills up and may shatter. And a mortal can die as a result, or he may survive, as she did. In this case, the vessel heals, but a scar remains as a reminder. Oh, I felt that scar once. There's no scar on me. Why only her? I don't know. It looks like the energy only shows her.
Because I'm special. What are you saying?
She killed Satan. Where did that power come from? Do you think an average unclaimed is capable of this, even by chance?
Yes, because I'm super awesome.
I think Malbonte, by chance or not, gave some of his power to her during the ritual. How is that possible?
Dino's so not having it.
At that moment, they were nothing but lumps of energy, interconnected vessels capable of transferring their energy back and forth. Simona should have died after that, rejecting that energy like a foreign body. Malbonte's strength is too great to be subdued.
Because I'm awesome, that's why it's not. Lucifer looked at Mom in surprise.
And yet she did it.
That. I took some of Malbonte's powers? Take that, girl! Take that! Mom waved her hand and the dragon suddenly emerged from behind the clouds and flew towards us. Fire lowered his body so that I could get on him. His eyes studied me closely. Don't look at me like that. Aww, he's so cute. He shook his head and jerked his body. I laughed, but my laughter was cut short. Everything went dark in front of my eyes, and I could no longer feel my own body. Malbonte was standing in front of a table full of maps. Figures of demons and angels were scattered on some of the maps, resembling a game of chess. Other maps had red marks pointing to a specific path. 3 demons stood motionless in front of Malbonte, obediently awaiting orders.
There's only one thing that interests me, victory. And there are only 2 things that will bring it to me. Is there anything new you can give me?
He spoke in a strange manner, as if he wasn't addressing the demons at all. But whom then? A shadow emerged from the corner. The figure stepped into the light, revealing his identity. Fancio.
We need to cut off the provision routes to the academy. Why would I want the academy? I need the citadel. The puppy is small, but even he can gnaw at one's throat if he is furious and cunning. It's better to let him become so weak that he can't bite.
One side of Malbonte's lips curled up, and his face looked vicious and shrewd at the same time. This grin seemed to say, I know your motives, old man. I understand everything.
I like your rage, Fancio. You'll stay by my side as long as you function as a raging engine and not as a hindrance.
Ooh!
No.
For a while, Malbonte silently examined the maps in front of him. Then, without raising his head, he gave a cold, short order.
Cut off the provision routes.
Ooh! I'm so sorry. I woke up in Lucifer's arms. Huh? Lucifer looked at me, confused, almost frightened.
Is everything okay?
Sort of.
He fainted.
I was silent. He took a lock of hair off my face. Aww.
What's the matter with you? Or did you just felt the need to lie on my lap?
I always feel the need to lie on your lap, sir. I stood up at once. You wish. Be silent. Be silent. I want to stay on his lap. Mom, somewhat perplexed, bent over me. What's the matter? I was overwhelmed with excitement. I suddenly realized that the stakes had gone up, and every word I say, every action I take has consequences. And those consequences may affect the fate of many immortals. Is it worth talking about Malbonte's plan? Tell them about the plan. We are not gonna tell them about the plan. I feel so horrible. Stay silent for silent. It's not worth mentioning. It's nothing. Mom squinted suspiciously and kept staring at me. Are you sure? Absolutely. That's so funny. It was difficult to say why I kept silent. Did I do it for myself or for him, for the sake of Malbonte? He looked at me.
I hope your mother will not rush to chop heads off. She might still need them.
She thinks she's somehow connected to Malbonte. Maman grimaced as if the very thought of it offended him.
I served Satan, and I'm not going to kiss the ass of some newly born sucker.
So Satan had nothing to do with it?
He turned out to be just a puppet, like many of us. Malbonte knew precisely what buttons to push to get the worst out of everyone.
For the wound to heal, it must be cleaned out first. Mama looked at me as he leaned against the bars, squinting at me.
So is that what Malbonte's doing? Cleansing?
That's right. Oh my god, that's a Malbonte choice? I am done. He burst out laughing and his laughter seemed ominous.
What an unexpected curveball. Your bond with Malbonte grows stronger. I fucking hate it here. I hate it here.
Yeah, like I said, in this game, Malbonte's my soulmate, apparently. Mom picked up the letter, opened it, and began to read aloud. I don't want war. Oh, I'm gonna say it like Malbonte, okay?
I don't want war, but there's no cure for a fish that rots from the head down. Damn! All that remains is to cut its head off.
Yeah, bye, Mom. Let me stop. Mom shuddered and closed her eyes. Her hands were trembling. It's like he's... The angel reacted immediately to the sign. Yes! The sharp blade flashed in the air. Used the words that could hurt her. The head rolled across the scaffold. Nam continued reading without paying attention to the hoarseness in her throat.
I warned all rooting heads. I will cleanse your souls with blood.
Mom didn't move. She looked at this letter and didn't say anything, and then suddenly crumbled it up, tore it into pieces, and threw it into the wind. She's like, I don't give a fuck. We'll see. Damn. She turned around and resolutely went inside. Damn. Let's go. An icy wind blew chaotically in all directions. Let's go. MALBONTE. I shivered and looked around. Where am I? You see your soulmate over there. I tried to remember how I got here, but I couldn't. No. Oh. Huh? I saw unfamiliar faces of angels and demons standing around the child MALBONTE.
Calm down, we will not harm you.
They cautiously approached him, but he backed away, continuing to shout.
No.
His scream sent a wave of energy that swept away half of the immortals. Some of them didn't get up.
Stop it. We will not harm you.
They took a few more steps towards him, but MALBONTE screamed in rage again. Don't touch him!
No.
I instinctively covered my ears.
No.
Yes. That's what you get for not listening. The immortals did the same, but it didn't help them. One by one, they began to fall to their knees and then to their sides, or on their backs, and no longer moved. The cry of the child killed them. That's what you get! That's what you get for not listening to someone when they say something to you. You have to listen. A dozen dead faces contorted from fear of death were frozen before my eyes. He killed them all. I looked at MALBONTE. Oh, he's scared. He is terrified. He's a child. Oh my God. The poor guy. He was breathing heavily, gasping for air, and his shoulders moved quickly up and down. He's having a panic attack, literally. He was so scared. Touch him and calm him down. I'm gonna calm you down. Sorry. I silently watched the little boy left alone among the piles of the dead, killed by his hatred. He looked with surprise at the corpses of the immortals, as if he had nothing to do with them. He was like a child stepping on a cockroach, suddenly surprised that the cockroach no longer moved. I'm sorry, that's a lie. Cockroaches are literally the most resistant beings ever. There was no definite goal, no cunning plan, no altruistic motives in my head. I just went to MALBONTE and put my hand on his shoulder. To my surprise, he felt my touch. He shuddered and looked directly at me. His dry lips slowly parted in surprise. Aww. You have influence history. Let's go. Sorry. You can see me? Yes. His cheeks were wet. With one quick and light gesture, I brushed a tear off his cheek. Aww. MALBONTE raised his questioning, pleading eyes at me, but I immediately began to move away from the vision, away from MALBONTE. He twitched, stretched out his hand as if he was trying to reach me. No, that's so cute. Yeah, literally, we were the only person to actually show him compassion. like kindness. We weren't trying to grab him. We were just there trying to calm him down. Like we were there to wipe his tears. That's what you do, people. But in the end, he didn't run after me. He just watched me move away from him. He is probably confused, like, soon Malbonte turned into a distant image somewhere on the horizon and then completely faded into darkness. That's what happens. Let me stop. Night, silence. I was lying in bed, trapped in my own blanket. It was a dream, a vision. My heart was pounding anxiously in my chest. I was trembling, unable to calm down. I pressed my back against the wall, wrapped my arms around my knees, and stared blankly at a random point in the room. It was a sort of meditation. Mimi snoring in the background helped me calm down. I wanted to lay back, but a shadow flickered in the corner. Let's go. Come on, show your handsome self. Huh? The shadow stepped away from the wardrobe, and I could see someone's silhouette. Come on, show me your hotness. I raised my torso up and peered into the darkness. Suddenly the shadow moved quickly and pounced on me. Someone covered my mouth. I could feel the smell of pine trees and river coming from the big, harsh palm. This smell seemed so out of place that I opened my eyes. Yeah! Show me your handsome face. Huh?
Why do I see your life?
Yes, he also sees our life. We see his, he sees us.
Why are you sending me these visions?
Because I'm capable enough to make you see visions. He pushed me into the pillow, covering my mouth even harder. Sir, I started to choke. Huh?
You took my powers.
Sir, if I actually took your powers, you wouldn't have any powers anymore. I looked into his demanding eyes. There was a lot of hatred in them, but there was something else too. I was paralyzed with fear and couldn't see past the only thought in my head. He's going to kill me. For a moment, this seemed to be his only desire, but he suddenly shuddered, pulled away from me as if burned, and rushed back into the darkness. Night, silence. I was lying in bed, trapped in my own blanket. 2 visions? Malbonte wasn't here, was he? I actually think he was. I think he was, and then he made us think that it was just a dream. If he was able to influence with the visions of other people, he's capable to do that too. We cannot predict his future actions. Miss Selena raised her hand and in her calm, smooth voice said, "What about the Citadel? Will they help us?" Mom answered sharply, as if making it clear that this is beyond doubt. "No. The school is entirely autonomous. Now we're on our own, without supervision, but also without help."
Rebecca, were you kicked out of the council? How did you allow it?
I prioritized. Mammon bowed his head, showing respect. Among other things, we have another problem. Mom hesitated. Recently, we sent soldiers to get provisions, but they never came back. There is no more food. But we haven't eaten in days. I know. We need to send a team again, but there is no one left. Only Andy and a couple of guys volunteered. This isn't enough. I'll go. Out of the question. You said yourself that there is no one else? Mom was silent.
Simona, are you sure you can handle it?
I am sure. Glory, let's go. Pride flashed in my mother's eyes. If you're sure, then I don't doubt you, daughter. She got up from the table. It's decided. Simona will go along with the rest of the team to get some provisions. We're done for the day. Leaving the council room, I had a premonition. I couldn't tell if it was good or bad, but one thing I knew for sure, something is gonna happen. Yes. I was looking around at the sky, the cliffs, the treetops. All of a sudden, I got jumped from one side. Oh no! Everything started spinning, but I noticed the other soldiers getting kidnapped. Huh? I tried to break out of someone's tight grip, but they put a bag on my head and tied my hands. I didn't know where they were taking us or what would happen. I only felt like I was thrown into an empty food container. Andy wanted to talk to me, but he was told to be silent and someone hit him. Where are they taking us? What do they want from us? Being left in the dark is the worst. After an infinitely long time, we were unloaded and brought to our knees. Our kidnappers talked among themselves, but their conversation was cut short. Someone's calm steps were heard, and they stopped next to me. I touched the shoes with my toes, hoping it would be enough for me to recognize the person standing near me. Girl. I heard a chuckle. Same. The kidnapper was amused by my attempt. I would think more ridiculous. How are you supposed to find out who someone is just by looking or feeling their shoes? The bag was ripped off my head. Show me your beauty. MALBONTE looked down at me. He is so fine. He grinned, but his grin changed to surprise, as if he hadn't expected to see me. I think it's more like that he actually doesn't want to interact with us. So he's trying to ignore us as much as he can. And as soon as he actually sees us, he wants to, be close to us because we have his powers, you know? He squatted so that our faces were almost level and quietly, calmly said, I can feel the sexual tension. Welcome to my underground camp. I'm in love with you, sir. I'm in love with you. MALBONTE rested his palms on the table behind him. A pair of gentle, skillful female hands were caressing his shoulders. I could kill them. The jealousy is that high, okay? His abdomen... I'm sorry, sinking lower and... I'm the only person who can touch his friend. I'm the only person who can touch his little friend. But his thoughts were far away. He barely enjoyed it. He better not be enjoying it, because if he does, you don't need my help. MALBONTE angrily pushed off the women's hands and sat back at the table. The girl blinked rapidly in bewilderment. Exactly. He says, I'm not having it. Leave.
Get out. I have no time for you.
Woo! Let's go. Let's go. She silently got up from her knees and left him alone. Why was she planning on giving him a... Was she planning on giving him a blowjob? What is this? MALBONTE looked at the maps and the figurines. His gaze rested on a handmade angel. He took it and spun it in his hands.
The Citadel is deliberately silent about my appearance. They don't want to spread fear. And they can't. Our previous victory won't help us win this battle. We shouldn't get cocky or allow any sort of weakness. And I'll be as cruel as the situation calls for.
Sir, why are you like this? MALBONTE clenched his hand into a fist. The figurine cracked under the pressure of his strong fingers. I want him to grab me like that. Throwing away the remains of the angel with unconcealed disgust, MALBONTE got up. What's wrong? Everything went dark. Huh?
She stood out on the doorstep of her house, not daring to knock, her hand frozen midair without knocking. Lucifer was standing a little further away. So do you always hang around her?
The jealousy. The jealous.
A curtain moved slightly, and a movement later the door opened. Good afternoon.
Afternoon. Oh, not us being completely shattered.
What do you want?
I'd like to talk about your daughter.
Hearing this, he staggered but held on to the doorframe. What do you mean by that?
I'm her classmate. I saw her right before the accident.
The man straightened up, his eyes widened and focused on her.
She talked about you. Simona loved you very much, and I'm sure she wouldn't want you to grieve. That's all what I wanted to say.
She hesitated a little, then quickly added goodbye and turned to leave. but her father ran out onto the porch after her. Wait. He took her hand tenderly, in a fatherly way, as if he knew that his daughter was standing in front of him. Thank you for those words.
Oh,
She grinned at her teeth without finishing. Impulsively, Malbonte touched a strand of her hair.
Okay. So sorry. The fangirling for this man is insane. Squeezed it between his fingertips. Okay, sir? She didn't notice it.
Don't be sad. At least you have a chance to reunite in the afterworld.
Aww. Malbonte. What is this? What is this cuteness? Not him saying don't be sad. Malbonte. Why are you like this? Show your angel side more often.
She didn't hear Malbonte. Of course she didn't. The tears froze on her eyelashes.
Oh,
he's getting visions. That's what this is, because this happened in the first season. Malbonte propped one hand on the table and covered his eyes with the other one. He staggered, barely standing on his feet. Fancy came up to Malbonte. He squinted, waited a few seconds trying to get used to the darkness, and came closer.
The prisoners have arrived.
Malbonte didn't hear him.
Visions about her again.
To fancy about them? Let everyone know that you dream about me. Let me stop.
A woman can hope.
Is there visions with that girl in them? The one you used for the ritual?
Didn't you tell him to kill us?
What kind of visions?
Rumors of your connection to Malbonte are growing stronger. Exactly. Take notes, people. Take notes. That's my man.
Fenzio tensed. Oh, sure. It looks like a past.
Only her. What about Lucifer?
Only her.
Are you mad about that? Let me stop.
I'll think about it. What about the prisoners?
Yes.
He ruffled his hair.
Show them to me. And that malicious smile. I'm so into this man.
Poor, scared, disorientated. They knelt and waited. What were they waiting for? Malbonte stood in front of a girl.
It's her.
It's me. She touched his shoes like a blind beggar, but there was something arrogant, impudent, impatient in this gesture.
Not that smile.
Malbonte ripped the bag off her head.
Yeah, we're not having it.
There's so much hatred towards me in her eyes.
Why are you so shocked? You don't want me to hate you now, do you?
Well, she's entitled to it. I deserve it.
Malbonte. Well, acknowledgement is the best way.
He sat down so their faces were almost on the same level and quietly, calmly said, Welcome to my underground camp.
Sit still.
No. One of the prisoners tried to get up.
So you're on its side. On its side. Not the smile, Malbonte. You and I. Yeah, I got it.
So this is how she refers to me. It. Throw them into the dungeon.
He says I've got the power.
Malbonte turned around and went to his room. He heard the prisoner screaming behind his back, trying to escape.
Oh, path of strong connection with Malbonte. Let's go!
Let's go. I was sitting under a canopy at the table full of food. Looking skeptically at the dishes, I realized that these were the same supplies stolen from under the nose of the flying soldiers.
That's so ironic.
I sat face to face with the prisoner whom I had the misfortune to meet in Satan's dungeon. He watched me obsessively. Can you, please just look away?
I told you we were going to meet again.
I am sorry. He almost spat out the last word. Where are the rest of the prisoners? Why am I not with them?
Zigzag jerked from his chair and came closer to me so that I'd smell the suffocating stink of his body. This is so uncomfortable.
You offended me.
And you hurt me. The prisoner still holds a grudge against you. What is this situation here?
But I can touch you.
Exactly. Malbonte said you don't touch my girl.
The king would approve.
That king? Well, he's the king.
Let it be, Zigzag.
Addie came from around the corner. Huh? I don't know what scared me more. That he's on Fanzio's side now or his empty grayish face. I'm worried about Addie. There was no spark, no joy in his eyes. His gaze was vacant. His face was almost waxen. Hug him. I clung to him and hugged him as tightly as I could. I pressed against his shoulders tightly so he could feel how excited I was to see him and that he could count on my support. How are you? I pulled away from him and only then realized that he hardly hugged me back.
I'm good. How are you? I see you have things to discuss. I'll leave you to it.
Now it was just the two of us. What are you doing here?
I live here, so you can see.
That's not what I mean, and you know it. Addie sighed and sat down in Fenzio's place.
I picked a side. What about you?
Fenzio killed Sammy, and you joined him? I wanted to cry and laugh at the same time. Addie anxiously bit his lip, sat down more comfortably in the chair, and looked around a couple of times.
There are things bigger than ourselves and our own desires.
That wasn't a desire. He was the love of your life. Such as? What? World domination?
Justice.
Having someone get killed for someone else to live is justice in your eyes? He was a sacrifice. I don't understand how you... Addie rudely interrupted me.
Exactly. You don't understand.
Addie got up.
He's waiting for you.
He was waiting for me. Without answering, Addie took me by the arm and led me somewhere. Now this is so cruel. Like that you're on the king's side, it's all nice and everything, but at least don't treat me like a prisoner, but as your friend. I am still your friend. He sat at the table and thoughtfully examined the map. He held an angel figurine in his hand. When I entered, he looked up at me and froze for a while, not showing any emotions. His wings have changed shape. It looks like he has recovered from the ritual.
Thank you, Addie.
I love that his wings are red.
You can go.
Addie bowed slowly to him. Before leaving, he looked at me with some kind of persistent, meaningful look, but I couldn't figure it out. I think that was supposed to mean be careful. Malbonte threw the figurine on the table. It rolled, then stopped. I was able to get a closer look at it. It wasn't an angel at all. The figurine had a horn on one side and a halo on the other. One of its wings looked more like a bat's wing and the other looked angelic. That's Malbonte, people. But the halo and the angelic wing were partially broken as if on purpose.
A monster with massive horns, hooves, and small angelic wings. A kind look, hiding exorbitant malice. Ooh! This is what they say about me in Malbonte treatise.
He stressed the last words as if he wanted to crush them.
One eye is red, the other one is blue.
Is he making fun of the fantasy that they made up about him? I remembered the stage show's words predicting my death. Goosebumps ran up and down my body. Malbonte hovered over the table.
So, do I look like a monster?
Yes, you do. No, absolutely not. Keep silent. I mean, no one looks like a monster. They're proven to be innocent or guilty by their actions. Like when I look at someone, I don't see them as a monster. I can only metaphorically, I can only see someone as a monster if I think that they are doing some things that make them out to be a monster. Besides the fact that he was reborn and melted with Bond, his angel self, there was nothing evil he did, so I can say that he looks like a monster. No, absolutely not. Malbonte looked up. His black eyes were probing me, painfully devouring me. Why? He asked me in a quiet yet mocking voice. Why are you mocking me when you like what I said?
I don't.
No, you don't. No. Malbonte jumped up, walked around the table, and sat down on the very edge next to me. Without asking permission, he grabbed my chin imperiously and lifted it. Our eyes met. I jerked my head, trying to escape from the captivity of those black pupils, but he wouldn't allow it. What do you need?
Not her saying what you need. Do you think I'm a villain? A vengeful madman?
That's what they say about you.
I'm not.
That's the problem with legends. You shouldn't believe them as soon as you hear them, because most stuff is made up. You have proven otherwise so far. What did he do besides cutting off the root? That's the only thing he's done. He let go of my chin but didn't move an inch. He kept staring down at me. You can stare at me, that's fine.
There are so many wars back on Earth, and most of the time one could never tell who's right. They're fighting for their grand ideals, for their goals. I'm an idealist. I want the scales of Nemesis to finally level. I want justice.
But justice how? That's the question. But at what cost? That. I feel that.
There is a price for everything, the law of harmony.
Bond would never do this. As if he would be her boyfriend. I mean, he was my boyfriend. Now that I think about it, he was my boyfriend. I burst out. I immediately fell silent. Malbonte was also silent, and his silence was oppressive. After a while, he quietly asked,
Would you like to see Bond again?
Because of me, Bond is gone. I shouldn't have freed him.
I ask you a question. Would you like to see Bond again?
I mean, I have Bond in front of me. I literally would just like... Honestly, I would just like to see Malbonte act the way, or just say something that makes me see that Bond really is in there somewhere. Like, there has to be. Bond was his angel side, and he's both an angel and a demon. He's a half-breed. He can't just only show demon features. He has to have some angel feature left, even if it's very, very deep down inside of him. There has to be somewhere. I'm sure he's still out there, and he can be reached. Not the question mark. And not the smirk. What is this? I'm pretty sure he thinks the situation is hilarious. Sir, we were together. Malbonte threw his head back and burst out into loud mocking laughter. What's so funny?
Bond was not a full-fledged person. Imagine if you were stripped of all the bad qualities that you have. Would it still be you?
Yes. No. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. We're gonna leave that out. Yes and no. It wouldn't be completely me. So, because there are some quality. There are some characteristics missing, so no, it wouldn't be me. Malbonte sighed in relief.
That's right.
He bent over me.
Bond is me. Do you understand?
I understood that he's you. But I would like to see him too, you know? I know that he's you. But right now I can only see Mal in you, okay? Because Bond was his evil side and Mal was the evil side of Malbonte. Now the good side disappeared behind the evil side, And I want to reach the good side from him as well. Like, I want to reach Bond in Malbonte, okay?
He can't return because he never went anywhere.
Malbonte's eyes started to pursue my body. He looked at my body from head to toe, but more like a cold-blooded scientist than a seducer.
I remember every meeting, Simona.
Malbonte got up and began to circle slowly around the table, tracing it with his fingers.
I remember your concern for me. If it weren't for that, our conversation would have been very different.
We were together, sir. Where are the others I flew with? What's happening to them?
Do you want to join them?
Not with the smile. Stop smiling. Yes. That's so funny. He sat down again on the edge of the table next to me.
I have a better offer.
He literally reminds me of a CEO talking to his secretary. You're doing this, this, and that. Understood?
Join us.